Welcome to all the divine Atmajyotis. Let us continue our contemplation of Dakshinamurthy Stotra. So Dakshinamurthy Stotra has two main parts. There is a dhyana part and there is a jnana. And both are jnana only, but the dhyana allows the mind to focus on what is about to come. Because the crux of the teaching of the Dakshinamurti comes in the stotram, or what we are referring here as the wisdom part. So right now we are contemplating the shlokas in the jnana or the wisdom part. And we have completed the first two shlokas. So just to...
Santoshji, sorry, Vijayji, I got one thought, one question. You told dhyana and jnana. So, which comes first? Dhyana. Dhyana comes first.
Dhyana comes first. So essentially, the shloka is divided into dhyana shlokas and main stotras, or the main shlokas, right? So usually the word stotra, as you and I understand, means a stuti, to praise. But in the form of praising, Shankaracharya ji, this is also said to be composed by Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji. So he is teaching us the essence of Vedanta. In dhyana also it is essence of Vedanta only. But the dhyana mainly glorifies the main part that is yet to come. And that we have completed the contemplation of. And we started with the main stotras. And the very first stotra starts with Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. The world is seen as a reflection in the inner mirror. So that is essentially what the first shlokas focuses. And then the next one speaks about Bijasyantarivankuro Jagadidam. The world is actually in you as a seed, and it sprouts. It sprouts depending upon various situations. And how Dakshinamurti, who is Dakshinamurti? Here we are reflecting on Dakshinamurti as our inner essence. It is that Dakshinamurti who appears as the Sadguru to guide us to once again back to the inner Guru. So that Dakshinamurti is
recording in progress.
Beyond this.
1 minute.
Hari Om Satyaji.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Hari Om Vijayji.
Okay. So, Satyaji, today we will be continuing our Dakshinamurti Stotra contemplation. Arjunji has joined us back after a break. So, we were just giving a short introduction to where we stand. So, let us jump into Shloka 3 onwards. So, line by line is also here, and then we have the whole thing there. So, first we will simply see the line by line and then go into the whole shloka. So, Yasya-Eva Sphurannam Asat-Kalpa-Arthakam Bhaasate. So, how do we see? By his Throb alone. Whose Throb? The awareness, the divine awareness. And then all the so-called unreal forms, they receive their meaning through the apparel called as a mind. The name and the form appears. But what is the name and the form? Is essentially the awareness. Saakssaat-Tat-Tvam-Asi-Iti Veda-Vacasaa yo Bodhayaty-Aashritaan. And this is what is spoken as Tat-Tvam-Asi. You are that alone, is what all the Upanishads are speaking about. Yat-Saakssaat-Karannaad-Bhaven-Na Punaraavrttir-Bhavaam-Bho-Nidhau. And this is a matter of direct experience. or what we are also referring as aparoksha anubhuti. Tasmai Shrii-Guru-Muurtaye nama idam Shrii-Dakshinaamurtaye. Salutations to that inner awareness, that Sadguru. So that is what is here as line by line. So now let us begin our contemplation. So you can choose to either use this or the line by line for your contemplation. Who would like to begin first? Padmaji, would you like to start?
I'll just take a few minutes, sir. Maybe I'll go next.
Sure. Shubhaji, Sarananji, Satyaji, Deepaji.
Okay. Now let me go. So explaining the nature of the world, right? Or what is seen. Here is saying that all that is seen outside, they get their meaning, or they come to existence from this fundamental principle, which is the awareness. Right, and only through that, all, it's like how the light shows all that that is seen, because of this awareness. All the forms appear in the mind, and without this, like, nothing will exist, kind of. Right? And this knowledge of the Atman is what is given in the Vedas as Tatvamasi. You are that. And how do I and will I understand it just by listening or hearing? No, it has to come as a direct experience, because unlike the other learning, where if you're trying to learn um, about, let's say, math or science or history, we are learning about something else. In this case, the learning is about self itself. So it has to happen through direct experience, and that comes from the guru within. And for that, like, one has to surrender wholeheartedly, which is meaning there you have to be like fully ready to receive, without having any doubt about the knowledge, or about the the master. Right? It has to be a wholehearted surrender, and there has to be a deep desire to know, and it cannot be for personal gain. Like every other knowledge is for personal gain, but here, realizing that the learner is going to disappear once the learning is complete. Right? So, and once that direct experience, once the knowledge is understood by the direct experience, it's is clearly confirming that you will be out of this samsara, no more of suffering, and you are not going to appear again, take another life. Right? And we pray to that guru for uh, giving us this knowledge.
Wonderful. Very nice.
Yes, Vijay.
You would like to go? Yeah.
So, as per what I understand, uh, there is this underlying awareness. This awareness is underlying everything that we see or perceive or feel. It is because of the underlying awareness, and because of that, everything gains a meaning, or just as we open our eyes and the world appears. So opening eyes is like the awareness. The only because we are aware, the whole world has a light or a meaning. So consciousness or awareness is the only thing that is there is, nothing else. And this knowledge is does not come out of Vedas or any other spiritual texts. It only points towards this, but mainly it comes out of the direct experience, the aparokshanubhuti, that every moment we actually feel, but we don't realize that every moment. So this Tattvamasi comes out of our aparokshanubhuti. That is, our inner guru itself guides us inside. And once that is established, once the Tattvamasi is established, we will not be under a impression that we are totally doing a roller coaster ride in this Maya world, because the world is an appearance, and it is anitya, it keeps on changing, and we are in a impression or a delusion that we are in Maya. So once the inner guru, we surrender to the inner guru totally, this delusion of being caught in the cycle of birth and death or in the cycle of Maya disappears, and the I totally establishes itself.
And how do you apply this knowledge, Satyaji? This is the realization which you explained. How do you use this?
The application comes, that is, the application is actually, once it is established, it will be applied. But the application actually is necessary in only the fact that when we are living in a world, we look at things as dual. I am different, the world is different. But once this knowledge totally establishes that awareness is the only thing that is. So the awareness is what is making me see things or perceive things. So that is the only reality. There is no more duality. There is no more internal fight. That there is an external world that exists and I that exists, and I have to conquer something or come over or do something. So it is when that surrender happens, there is no more delusion. That is the application.
Wonderful. Thank you, Satyaji. Who would like to go next?
Yeah. I think the essence of what is being said is already I think Satyaji and Saravanan-ji shared. I am looking at more of the application part, like just now the question that you put to Satyaji. So for me, how do I apply this knowledge and function is what I'm looking at. So if the the realization that I am that is deeply established, then the ego, okay, if I have to, I'll just reframe it. So at least in my situations, most of the time, what I feel is there is a sense of doership in whatever we do and whatever I do, and it surfaces many times. Although we are on this contemplation journey of Vedanta, it resurfaces every now and then, saying that, oh, I did this, or I did that, or I am doing this, or I am doing that. To completely quell that would be what would be helpful in just going with the flow and not claiming doership. So that is the essence that I am getting from this shloka, in the sense that all the scriptures that we have been studying till now, whether it is Tattva Bodha or whether it is an Aparoksha Anubhuti, the crux is same only. The Tattvam-Asi is what is the teaching, but how much are we able to apply it in our day-to-day life is what makes a difference, I feel. And that is still work in progress only. However, I feel one aspect of the Atma Darshana is completely established, but the Shakti Darshana part that we were exploring till now, I think most of the time it is that energy which makes us do, or which is propelling us to do certain things based on what are our conditionings and everything we choose. But we choose also wouldn't be a very correct statement, but yeah, it's happening through us. But then the claiming is always there. It resurfaces again and again. So to keep doing that manana and nididhyasa, that I am not the doer, it's still work in progress for me. So that is the thing I'm getting here, sir, because this knowledge of Tattvamasi, I think we are now, we don't question that anymore. Like when we began the contemplation, Tattvamasi, how can I be that? Is this something that has dwelled, that has come up as a question? But now I think that part is very, it's crystal clear, like why it is said that you are that. But are we functioning with that in mind all the time, or with from that perspective, is something that is still work in progress for me, sir. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Padmaji.
I think, Vijayji, when you're talking about the application of this stotra, the concept of surrender and surrender to the inner guru. So again, in this stotra, it is not about the outer guru or some deity. It is said as the inner guru. So inner guru is nothing but the Atman, and the surrender to the inner guru itself, in application, it removes doership. It removes everything that comes with doership. Like if I am doing, I am thinking, I am great, I am all this ego part is removed. So that surrender removes doership, and establishing in this aparokshanubhuti, that means the self knowledge, is what removes the maya. Maya is the roller coaster ride which we think the world is taking in us into. So that is removed. So I feel these two are the direct applications of the stotra.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Satyaji. Who would like to go next? Shubhaji, Deepaji, Arjunji. Yes, Arjunji.
Hello, you able to hear me?
Yes, we are able to hear you, Arjunji.
Vijayji, as of now, I feel like a failed student, okay, who is repeating his like class again. So I would like to catch up rather than say something right now, and be with the group and then get into contemplation.
Sure, Arjunji. No issues at all.
So only thing is I'm admitting that I have failed.
Each guru teaches by different mechanisms. Thank you. Deepaji, Shubhaji.
Yes, sir. The self is the only one that is real, and all the unreal forms appear in us, and we derive the meanings out of what we actually see and perceive. That itself appears in the mind. And coming to the application part, since the time I started applying this knowledge, I can see what's the difference. For example, there were a few people with whom I had some misunderstandings, and the relationship wasn't that good at all. When I started applying this knowledge, those people actually doubted me and were a little cautious in the beginning. But now it is not like that. As I start, loving people, I can see at least 50% of the love coming back to me. So I think it is working, and I trust this knowledge, sir.
Wonderful. Anything more you would like to say?
Whenever I see the result of such, I feel very much encouraged, and I'll be convinced that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. I feel very happy. And we'll be waiting for more such things to appear. And all such things will happen all of a sudden, and I'll be surprised sometimes. I'll be wondering, why was I not like this earlier?
Very nice.
That's it.
Thank you, Deepaji.
Thank you, sir.
Shubhaji?
Yeah, everyone has put it nicely, sir. I have nothing more to add. When it comes to application part, yes, I am still a work in progress. As Deepaji said, most of the time we try to apply it. But yes, in the beginning of the class, we were talking about surrender. Yes, that is also there here. So we do it. I don't know if we do it wholeheartedly. Rather, I would like to talk about, yeah, when I surrender, I don't know if I'm doing it wholeheartedly. Probably when I do it wholeheartedly, yeah, then I will be, then I will have the end of all the sufferings, or I can get out of this Maya. So yes, application part is still in progress.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shubhaji.
So Vijayji,
Yes, Satyaji.
just a question. Normally, when I think Deepaji was saying, I trust this
Knowledge.
process,
Yeah.
this knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about trust, so it is something that we believe and we know that we can follow it. So why is it so difficult? I mean, how far is surrender from trust? So why
Oh.
why is it? I mean, even for anyone, for me also, why is it so hard? Suppose we get into a car and start driving. We definitely know that this is an instrument. You put this indicator before you go on to the left. You have to do this before you go on to the right. So this is the brake, this is the clutch, this is the accelerator. You know all the rules. That is the trust you have on the vehicle. Why is it so easy to have trust on all the rules of a vehicle and so difficult to everyone says we are trying. So why is it so difficult to tame this one vehicle?
At the end of the day,
Vijayji,
yes, Arjunji.
I really like the way she was expressing. I too was experiencing something like that only.
Yeah.
But one day I was taking the car reverse, and there was a security guard who was trying to say that, like, how to take left, take right, and take the steering wheel a bit left and right. But still, I didn't trust him. I was still looking at the back and trying to find out whether I still had doubt in him. But he was a master of that situation, which I didn't trust. So I realized one thing, that like trust and surrender are the same side of the coin. It's a different side of the same coin, where which either we can surrender and then trust, or trust and then surrender. So both ways work. And for me, the realization at that point of time is, this is what I do, because I don't really give myself totally to the other person and say that he is the master of the situation and he is there to guide me. And somewhere the small I comes in and say, no, I am still the master. And that security guard was a big eye at that point of time, and I was a small eye. But somewhere that's like that whole thing is about the fact that I am the big eye and that person is the small eye. Somewhere that subconsciously is very much ingrained. Until that goes away, and I trust that the big eye is that person, and he is the big eye, and I as a small eye should surrender. This whole drama is going to continue for me personally. This is my thought, and this thing. Sorry if I have broken the flow.
Not at all. You don't have to be sorry at all. The flow is what happens at the moment. So no need to be sorry. Excellent insight. So Satyaji, does that clarify your question?
Yeah, yes, Vijayji. Thank you, Arjunji. So yeah, it does. And that is where the whole work in progress, or we are trying, what everyone says, is where to drop the trying and totally trust the flow, trust what is already going on, which we claim as the doer, or I am thinking and I have done this. So that is a point where we have to really surrender. It is not that trying to surrender, I'll check whether this works or not, and then I'll try to surrender. Or, I mean, even maybe now and today, there can be a decision or something taken that, okay, today as a Sunday, let me try not doing anything at all. Like everything will be happening and I will be observing. We can take a stand, like keeping ourselves above, this body mind complex, seeing myself above this or inside this. Somewhere that positioning of the eye, if I'm able to make it physically in my mind, because I think that will give us an insight of, okay, this body is moving, this body is doing everything on its own. I am not doing. So somewhere there should be a practical, at least like we have done a lot of practices office is a practice. We have done many trial and error things and then ultimately succeeded in a particular way. Here also, experiment and explore this with the body and look at us as on its own.
Satyaji,
Yes, Ajit.
now, like when you're saying all these things, I'm getting connected so much to whatever I am, and where is that I am trying to put my knowingness and doingness without getting into the beingness part of it, and so many times I get into that trap of knowingness and doingness, and the beingness part of it is just always in doubt. Okay. And I also got connected when you were saying about my own journey with Prabhuji, on how much I doubted him and was not it's not surrendering to him. I was not trusting. So, for example, it so happened, like we in 2005-06, so Prabhuji took me to meet an enlightened person. So he said, and there's a big queue to meet that enlightened person after he gave the discourse. So we are all moving towards that, in the queue, we are moving towards that enlightened person. Then Prabhuji was standing in front of me, and everybody was falling at the feet of that enlightened person. And I said, I will not fall at the feet of this enlightened person, whoever is it, because why should I fall? Because he's much younger than me. And because he gave a discourse, why should I fall? And Prabhuji, being Prabhuji, he fell at his feet. Even though Prabhuji is older than me, he fell at his feet with nothing, just fell at his feet. The moment he fell, and I was the next person, it was few seconds. Suddenly I found that feet expanding, like expanding. I didn't know, it was such a scene for me, like I didn't know what to do. The only thing I felt that I can stop this expansion of that feet was falling at the feet. And it was just I fell at the feet, not because of trust, because I surrendered to that feet, because of fear that that's going to expand and engulf me also. So this was my personal experience, what I had. And this you are sharing made me to get in touch with that experience. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ajit.
Very nice. So at the end of the day, there is a ego that is also functioning to protect. So it's a wonderful drama that is happening. It's like that story of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that we all may know. There is a devotee who listens to Ramakrishna, and he also comes to the thinking that, oh, everything is divine. And he's standing and there is a elephant which is right now very angry, and it is running towards him. And he says, okay, let me face it, because that is also divine. And I'll say, oh, divine, protect me. And that Mahut is shouting at him, move away, this has become mad. But he doesn't listen. And he gets thrown away. And he breaks his bones and everything. After many days, he meets the master. And he says, you taught me, and I tried to apply it, and this is what happened. And Ramakrishna said, excellent, very good. You understood. However, why were you not listening to the divine in the Mahat? So there is a fine line between this surrender and becoming complacent. So it's a knife's edge that we need to learn to walk. It is also Prajnanam Brahma. Awareness is the divine. What is awareness? So you are aware of changes happening moment to moment to moment. So there is an inherent capacity, there is an inherent guna. Guna is not a right word, but inherent nature of you, which is the awareness, consciousness. And without that consciousness, this ability to distinguish also wouldn't be there. So that is also there. That awareness is also there. Awareness of the change is also there. How do you act in that moment of change is the essential knife's edge question. Change is happening. Change is life. Every moment there's a change happening. What does it mean when it is said surrender? Surrender, is it that, I have to keep on surrendering? Surrender essentially means that there's an inherent trust, vishwasa, inherent trust. It is not something that I have to develop. That is inherently there. Inherent trust that whatever it is, whatever the change may be, whatever the conversation that is happening in my mind about right, wrong, should I not, like how wonderfully Arjunji brought out that dilemma. Should I fall or should I not? To be or not to be, that is a quandary, Shakespeare said. To be or not to be. To do this or not to do this. To take this step or not to take this step. So where is this dilemma happening? This dilemma is happening in the construct called mind. But what is the eternal message and what is the eternal truth? Even this dilemma has to be shown. It has to be lit. Then only this dilemma can be seen. So who is lighting this drama? And that light is who you are. So that has to be grasped. And how do you grasp that? If I'm caught up in who's caught up in the drama? There's a thinker in me. There's a thinker in me, which is what I'm referring in different ways as ego. That thinker in me. And that thinker in me appears in different roles. It is same appearing as multiple roles, like many of our famous movies, no? The same hero appears in different roles. So like that, the thinker in me is the one who is having this dialogue. Should I not? So this thinker itself is unreal. But the thinker, as long as the thinker is very strongly imposing itself on the mind, it doesn't become clear that the thinker is unreal. Thinker has no existence of itself. Thinker itself is getting the feeling that I am conscious because of the light which is lighting the thinker. So the only way that thinker can disappear is if the thinker comes to the end of the rope. And that happens in our life in many situations, in many different ways. Life is constantly giving you and me an opportunity to realize that I am not the thinker. And the divine is the only thing that is there. And that is what this shloka is also teaching you and me. By this throb alone. So, what is ultimately appearing and disappearing? In the previous shloka of Dakshinamurthy, it was shown that how the world is within and it is projected. So the classical question is, the world is there and I am in the world, is the first level thinking. That is how it appears. The whole dilemma or the whole separation that Vedanta wants to remove in our mind is me, world, and divine. Separation between the me, world, and the Ishvara. And in that, the world is another fantastic mystery. It appears as if I am in the world. Because the world seems to be there. World seems to be going through various modifications, which a lot of explanation is also given when the world was formed and how it happened. So there is a connection to the time, and it appears as if I am appearing in this flow. And truth is actually the reverse. The world, am I in the world, or is the world in me? This is the most fundamental question. It's like there are parts, various different kinds of parts made from mud. The question is the part in the mud, or is the mud in the part? Which is the basis of which is the most fundamental question. So that distinction requires a clear discrimination, viveka. And that viveka is the one which is also helping you and me in many situations of life. Me means what? As long as this clarity, this realization hasn't yet occurred, that there is no separation, it is only through this instrument that this clarity can be gained. And this instrument has to be protected. And how does this instrument get protected? It is like there are simple discriminations that we learn as when we were young. Eat this, this is good for your body in this situation. That's also a truth only, because this particular instrument is protected by the right practice. So like that, this ego, its function in the life is to protect. And that is why when the ego fructifies in the puja, typically when we go to the puja, we offer at the end a coconut. Coconut, why a coconut is offered? Because when you break open the coconut, it is ready. It is ready to be used. So that ripening, inner ripening, and when that inner ripening is correct, there's a natural surrender that happens. Till then, the ego will continue to play its role, because it has to fructify. Because this surrender is not by thinking that the surrender, oh, I have to surrender, I have to surrender. It cannot happen. Because how do you and I know what is surrender? The one who is thinking about the surrendering has to be the one who has to surrender. Ulta chor kotwal ko date. So it is that which is causing the whole disturbance. So, and that one is already giving the Vyakhyana about surrendering. How can it happen? So that's the fundamental mystery. So when that inner ripening through various churns, through various situations that the ego goes through, there is a deep, clear inner realization. And when that inner realization happens, surrender is quite natural. Surrender is quite natural. That I cannot be controlling any of this. That's the individual I. That individuality, the individual I, is the source of the whole disturbance. And when that individuality steps aside for a moment, and how does that stepping aside happen? So when you and I say, oh, I know something, I realize something, from where that realization itself is happening? Is it happening because some sound is coming to you, or some sight is coming to you? Same sights. For example, taking the situation that Arjunji spoke about, how many times you and I might have seen somebody falling at somebody else's feet? Any one of those situations could have been enough to remove my ignorance that I am doing something. However, there is a certain grace in that particular situation that Arjunji spoke about. That unknown element, that mysterious element. And that grace How does it operate? When does it operate? It is not a matter of reasoning. It is not a matter of reasoning. There is simply a beauty in that grace. But what this individual I can do is to keep working at the right path shown by the Sadguru. That's all the individual I can do. And the individual I can hope to let the grace flow into this being. And when it flows, then aparoksha anubhuti, direct experience, that I am that. That I am that is clear and evident. And that happens only because of the inner guru. Because ultimately, realization is within. It cannot come, it is not an outside phenomena. Because it is about realizing that I am that. Because of this awareness, divine awareness that is ever functioning, that all these forms get their meaning. That the world is actually given a meaning because of this awareness. So the world is in me, and that world is unreal. It is eternally changing. And what is appearing as the world is that awareness itself. That is why it is referred here as a throb. Sphurannam, throb, is like a vibration. It is not real. It is like when I drop a stone to a surface of water, waves appear. But the waves are not real. They are simply appearing and they disappear. Nothing has happened to water. It felt as if there was something that was happening. Nothing has ever happened to water. Nothing ever will happen to water. Hari Om.
Vijayji.
Yes, Arjunji.
Hello. There are
Yes,
three
Arjun.
things which are coming to me. One is when you said the ego is there to protect at the beginning, like you
Yeah.
said about this food is right or not right, appropriate or not. So what we get as the conditioning in the childhood, what I'm getting from you is appropriateness and inappropriateness. Okay, what's appropriate for me? That's what has been given so that it protects me and to choose. That appropriateness leads to I am right. Because I am right, because I am choosing the right thing. And that becomes a solidified righteousness.
Yeah.
That I am not only right, but I am the guy who knows everything what is right, and nobody needs to like nobody knows better than me. That's the righteousness. And I am getting a thought of this good example given by Omkarji, who is the yoga guru. I was going to his classes. He always starts his sessions with one other joke. So I was telling about this CEO who was a hard-headed CEO who thought that he knows everything and everything, and he's the best knower of in the world. So he goes to a showroom to buy some clothes for himself. That is to wear some, get some shirts and trousers and all. Then the poor guy who is a salesperson, he came to him and said that, sir, can I help you to try out something? He said, don't talk like that. I know what to buy. I know everything. You don't have to tell me what to buy and what not to buy. You don't have to decide on my behalf. This poor guy went off, and then he wanted to see whether it fits him very well. Then he went to the changing room, which he thought it was the changing room. When he goes into the changing room, and he comes out and fires this salesperson. He said, what's the changing room you got? Everybody is seeing me from outside. And what changing room is there? You don't even have proper changing room. Sir, that's not a changing room. Actually, that's a showcase, sir. So that guy went in a showcase instead of changing room. So this righteousness takes us to that path, where I feel that everything is right. And only thing is, surrendering is nothing but trusting the other person that he is appropriate and I need to accept his appropriateness and like just trust him that he is right in this moment, at this point. But the conditioning is so much that it becomes the sheath or the shaft which covers the rice itself, or the husk which covers the rice itself, and rice covering is the ego. Until I remove that rice covering, the rice itself will not be able to be used. So for me also, surrendering is to take away that shaft of the rice over it, and that taking away is the process what you are teaching, or you are giving us an insight for us today. That's what I got as a thought, Vijayji.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting is it's more than surrender. How do I melt my ego? How do I let go that ego? How do I let go that small little I which is always saying that I am right, I am right, I am right. So this is something which I'm getting as a thought in the process of what you're sharing.
Wonderful. Satyaji?
Did I make any sense, Vijayji?
Absolutely. So the point is, what you are also making is, there is again a fine line between trusting and a trust developed because of verification. So
yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
The trust developed because of verification is key factor.
Yeah. So the verification is not out of disbelief, but okay, so because life throws many things at you. So therefore, it is the knife's edge is given as the path that a sadhaka has to walk. So one has to use trust, awareness, viveka. So it's a wonderful, mysterious process in that sense. But to kind of because we're trying to reason it out, we have to kind of put it in some sense that it is understandable, because trust is not understandable. Surrender cannot be understood. Understanding means what? We are able to find a reasoning. Okay, do this, and this is called surrendering. So something that we generally codify into certain repeatable steps. Surrender is not like that. The quality of the surrender we are talking here is not at all like that. Because the quality of the surrendering can be, okay, so there are many other codified surrendering. He is in a high position, touch his feet, he will help you. So like that, there are codified surrenderings. That is not what we are talking about. It is a deep inner reflection of that the thinker is simply a shadow, and the thinker is the one which is blocking, and the thinker has no independent existence. That realization, naturally, realization, not a thinking of it, realization. That realization helps the shadow to disappear. So the quality of the surrender that comes out of that disappearance is different. It is not a surrender which needs to be in a physical sense. There's a natural tenderness that occurs. There's a natural grace that occurs. It's like a flower. A flower is naturally beautiful. There is nothing that you and I can add or subtract from a flower to improve its beauty, because there is a naturalness that is shining through it. And that naturalness, how is it shining through it? Like even in a little child, the naturalness is shining through the little child. Because the little child is not guided by the thinker. But the process of life is such that the thinker develops. That is how the life's journey is. And the thinker has to be cut by the sword of jnana. And the thinker, when it is cut by the sword of jnana, there's a natural surrender. When that cutting is natural, not out of fear, not out of worry, not out of anxiety, not out of, somebody is having a good time, I am not yet there. So none of that will help. So that's why it's a natural ripening. So the final offering in the puja vidhana is that coconut. We generally have that, no? Did you offer the coconut to the god? Not as a mere ritual. The coconut, the inner ripening. And when that inner ripening has happened, a natural surrender that occurs. And it's a continuous process. It's an evolution. It's an evolution. And at a particular point, it opens, and the direct experience helps you to recognize that there was no other. There has been no other.
So, sir, this continuous Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa is the only, is the only thing that you have to consistently and continuously keep doing, right? And then, like you mentioned just now, one day you, without even knowing, it will fall away on its own, is what I get from this. Is it correct?
Correct. Only one thing I would like to add is, generally, when we use Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, we tend to think in terms of purely a knowledge grasping, so participating in Vedanta discussions. So we have to realize that unless it is a practice, and how do you make it a practice? In life, the practice comes by the surrender practice comes through seva. So seva, Sadguru, Satsanga. And Sadguru is nothing but Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. Because Sadguru denotes the epitome of the highest knowledge, both in the conduct, both in the teachings. So Sadguru's path of life, in a simpler way, when I walk the path of the Sadguru's life, or when I follow the feet of the Sadguru, where the Sadguru's feet goes, if I follow, means what? I inculcate those practices that Sadguru is giving highest importance to. What is Sadguru giving highest importance to? Seva, Satsanga, Jnana. So that is the way to cleanse the mind. Shravana, Manana alone may not help. Again, it depends upon the being. If the right kind of sadhana has happened, and if the readiness is there, that is why Vedanta begins with who is the adhikari of the Vedanta, right?
Yeah.
So Vedanta Jnana shines the moment Sadguru says, the moment Sadguru points. For who is the question? The one who is ready. Which flower? Sun is shining every day. Which flower today is flowering? That flower which is at the right point in its journey. Some other flower is still in the seed form. Some other flower is still in the stem form. Some other flower is still in the bud form. So not to be worried about which flower I am. Does this help?
Yeah. But I had one more question, like um, uh, if I have to show it in an example, like what I experienced, the kind of love and compassion that I experienced with Guruji on the Shakti Darshana day. Of course, after that, the how I felt is what I would want others to feel with me. But then one question came, like, am I capable of showing so much compassion? Is it there within me? So that question is coming because of the ego, right?
Correct. So first of all, whatever you felt
Hmm.
within you.
Hmm.
So whatever that deepest feeling of love, compassion that you felt, it is there. It just needs to be brought out.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be so difficult because I don't know, there is
So the
still
difficulty is
some
because
guarding, there is some guarding, like I cannot express, I
now
don't know
you
how.
can see from this side also. So what is then that is guarding? That which is guarding is nothing but my own cultivated sense of I-ness.
Hmm.
Now, with all these experiences, I can see that I-ness is simply unreal.
Hmm.
Therefore, I need to take steps to express. So realization is not going to be complete just by saying Aham Brahmasmi. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. That is when the whole is realized. The whole Navaratri is all about, therefore, one by one accepting all aspects of existence.
But on the same note,
Yeah,
is the limitation, the doership there, what Padma was saying, why I am not able to give? In that statement, is the limitation the doership? Like I am doing it?
correct. So, because I am doing, I have seen earlier that I have hated few, I have loved few. So, I'm still imposing that limitation
Hmm.
to the unlimited.
Okay, yeah.
Does that clarify, Padmaji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything else on this shloka? Deepaji, is there anything more you would like to add or say?
No, sir.
Sarananji, Satyaji, Arjunji. All right. Then let us end the contemplation of this particular shloka. Thank you all. Hari Om.